I wanted to come on here again after, all this controversy that I've had today with the No Contact podcast. And I wanted to come on here and talk to you all specifically about what are some of the common reasons why people go no contact and what are some what I think are perfectly valid reasons to go no contact. This could be with a friend, lover, parent, whomever it need be. These are some of the things that I think about. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. I've been counseling people for many years now, since 2007 to be exact. Who have been in abusive relationships, all kinds of stuff, and victims and perpetrators of crime, that kind of stuff. So number one, I did a research study on Black women who were psychologically abused by their parents while growing up. So here's one reason why people usually go no contact, and I'll preface this and say that people usually go no contact, especially if they're children and even partners. They usually do it after many years and months of trying with the person. They usually do it as a last resort. They usually do it unwillingly, and usually it comes after a long time, repeated attempts to try to repair and reconnect in the relationship. Again, that's not always, but most of the time, that's usually how it happens. One reason is if there was sexual abuse present in the relationship. Again, I've seen that happen quite a bit where parents, and trigger warning, by the way, parents, siblings, even intimate partners, and things like that could be sexually abusive or can exploit you sexually. So that means like pimping and pandering. We saw, was it on Precious? I feel like I've seen that, it happens quite a bit in real life, but I'm trying to think of like a movie, and I want to say Precious, but maybe it wasn't on Precious. But anyhow, so pimping and pandering, or selling, their children out, or, molestation and other things like that. That's one thing. Years of physical and psychological abuse, that's also, and one of the things that I will say about the physical, psychological, and even the sexual abuse, a lot of times what I have experienced in working with victims of that, they don't usually go no contact right away. Again, they're usually very enmeshed with family. Again, it's not all the time, but they're usually very enmeshed in families, and there's a lot of family pressure to reconnect. Family will put you in some tricky situations and get you to lower your boundaries because it's the right thing to do, and that's your blood, that sort of stuff. So most of the time, even children that have been removed from their parents' custody, where their parents have lost their parental rights, that kind of stuff, even those types of kids tend to, and they've been in some pretty extreme situations. I don't think you guys understand how hard it is for a parent to lose their parental rights. It's very hard, and there's usually several court appearances and things like that, and most of the time the state doesn't like to do that unless it's dire. But, a lot of times kids will still even try to do that. But again, I think those are all valid reasons to go no contact. If the relationship is one-sided and the parent is emotionally available, and what this looks like is a parent that's not inquisitive about you. They don't care about you as a person. They don't know what's going on in your day-to-day life. You can talk to them on the phone, but you guys are strangers. And if there's any emotion in the relationship, you have to be the one to do it. They're not going to be the one to initiate visits. They're not going to be the one to want to do stuff together. You are essentially doing all of the heavy lifting in the relationship. So there's that. I think betrayal of trust is another one. So if you have a parent that is constantly undermining, undercutting you, sharing your secrets, putting your business out there on Front Street and making a mockery of you, you've kind of seen what you needed to see. And not just a parent. This could be an intimate partner. This could be, anybody really, your job, whatever the case may be. Financial abuse. So if you have parents, that the expectation is you give them your money, whether you do it willingly or unwillingly. So you have parents, which I've spoken about this before, where they have stolen your credit, they've taken out loans in your name, they have cashed in and spent your trust fund or other monies that was left to you, like your inheritance and things like that. They've taken that. They've committed identity theft or fraud. And again, this could be parents, lovers, partners, siblings, extended family, whomever. Addictions, that would include drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling, those types of any type of addiction where it's, the addiction is always going to be number one in the relationship. Everybody and everything else comes after the addiction. And a lot of times people who have addictions, in particular drugs and alcohol, and even shopping or gambling and things like that, their mood and their temperament is going to be unpredictable. And a lot of times when they're on the losing end of their addiction, they are going to be angry. They can lash out and be physically unpredictable. They can, definitely be embarrassing, that type of stuff. And so next would be people that make it their business to embarrass you, at your during your special moments in life. So your highlights and your peaks in life, they want to take that attention off of you and put it on them, and therefore hurt you. So this would be graduations, weddings, funerals, anything where a person takes an opportunity to sort of grandstand, throw you under the bus, or embarrass you in front of a room full of people, and they don't care how they made you feel. They don't care. They just don't care. All they care about is getting all the attention on themselves. Cheating and infidelity is another reason. If it's your partner and things like that, and if it doesn't align with your morals and your values, you can certainly, so people certainly go no contact after that. And you're well within your right to do. Keeping secrets. Secrets would be having a baby outside of the relationship. I'm not finding out that a person isn't your biological parent. Something that's major and devastating. And maybe I'm using a bad example of a secret, but we're about to foreclose on our home because I haven't worked in months and I've been lying to you about paying the bills. Those kinds of secrets, or I took out a second mortgage and I spent all the money without sharing that with you. Or I've tried to sleep with your boyfriend behind your back, those kinds of things like that. And so, and I thought, I'll stop there, and you guys could certainly put down more in the comments, but that's just like a general list of reasons. And these are like, one other thing I'll mention: if you can't regulate your nervous system around a person because they've traumatized you so much, and a lot of people feel like they're struggling with anxiety, but really it's just PTSD or complex PTSD. And this person dysregulates my nervous system. Every time they're around me, they're calling me out of my name. They're being loud, argumentative. They want to fight. They want to cause a scene everywhere. So these are just some, but I thought that I would put some lists of things for you guys to ponder on, things that you really don't need to feel guilty about or explain to anybody, only you.